Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Cooking for Wellness with Central Ohio Urology Group. We are very thankful that COUG partners with us for this wonderful cooking demonstration tonight. With us tonight, we have a guest, and we're very excited to have Miss Monique McCoy back with us. She's a guest chef or cook in the past, and we're very thrilled that she's back with us again. And then also with, I wanted to say that Miss Monique is with Local Matters, and they are a local nonprofit here in Columbus who have a fabulous program. So I highly recommend doing a Google search on Local Matters to see what they are able to provide and services. And then also with us tonight, we have dietitian Emily Sullivan. She'll be sharing all the nutritional aspects of the ingredients that Miss Monique will be cooking with. And I am Darlene, the program manager at Cancer Support Community Central Ohio. So tonight, Miss Monique and Emily will be talking about staying cool with no-cook meals. There'll be a homemade and healthy fish sticks with an air fryer, a hearty broccoli slaw, and peanut butter and chocolate pops. So Miss Monique, which recipe are you going to start with?
You know what? I think what we're going to start with today. Hey, everybody. My name is Monique. I'm McCoy. I'm with Local Matters. I am the mobile market manager, but I also do a lot of food education around the city as well. I'm just a simple country girl who loves to cook. So whenever someone asks me if I'm a chef, I say no, because I didn't earn that coat. Some people paid a lot of money to get that coat. So I don't want to offend anybody. So I'm a home cook chef is what I am. I can cook. I'm good at what I do, but I don't take away their props. But thank you all for having me again. We had a great time the last time we were here. I'm very interactive, so don't feel shy to chime in if you have a question or if there's something I'm doing, I'm moving a little bit too fast or what have you. But I'm a pretty precise, quick cook. I don't really measure too much, but for you all, I did pull out some measuring cups. And I got a spoon here. I didn't get the measuring spoons. I just got a spoon because sometimes we have to know everyone don't have these things. And I want you to be able to be adaptable and not think that you have to purchase certain items to make your food taste good. All right. So I want to leave that right there. We'll get back to that. So tonight as she said, we're going to be making 3 recipes. And the dessert one is one that will go into the freezer. So that means that you can make this up at any time and have it already ready. Now, this one, I've already made up a set and we got it in the freezer. I don't know if it's been in the freezer long enough for us to be able to have it, but it probably would be just slushy or gelled enough. It's been almost an hour, so we'll see what it does in ice cubes. But I also want to give you another way that you can always use that recipe. It's really simple. Now, the advice I want to give you about this recipe, we're going to make the peanut butter chocolate pops. If you have popsicle holders, that's great. You know, the little Tupperware, I used to make them a long time ago. But anytime you have anything like that's fine. If not, if you just have some sticks or skewers and you want to put them in a paper cup and put the skewer in there after it starts gelling, that'll work too. Or if you just want to put it in a small bowl, especially one that has a lid to it, and just freeze it where you can pull it out later and just eat it. It's ice cream pretty much is what we're going to pretty much make in this dessert. Eat it that way. You could do it that way. I don't want you to think you have to go out and buy anything special to make this dessert. A paper cup works fine. A plastic container that you get from the dollar store, $6 for $1, works fine with the lid, works fine. So we're going to start there. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that we're going to start with our bananas. These bananas are huge. Can you see the 2 differences? I'm going to tear them apart here. I already got to 2 of the small ones, but you can see the difference in bananas. Can you see the size difference in these bananas? And a lot of times when you're talking about your serving size, I'll let our dietitian talk about that more. But when you're thinking about, I just ate 1 banana, but this banana, this is this big. I'll let her go ahead and say a little bit about that portion size that you can tell the difference in the size of the bananas.
Yeah, I mean, you can just eyeball it. A standard banana will be about like 6 inches. As far as nutrition goes, I wouldn't stress too much about the size of the fruit. Just thinking about the nutrients and what you're making. Now for the recipe itself, you'll obviously just get more out of a bigger size banana and the proportion of it. But I like to stress the fact of not honing in on and getting wrapped up in the size or the exact amounts of things, and just focusing on what you're adding to your diet and the nutrition that you are providing. If it was, baking and you need an exact amount, it would probably tell you like a cup or measuring out like this. But since this recipe just says frozen sliced bananas, I think it's per preference. Again, a medium-sized banana standard would be like 6 inches, just to eyeball it.
Okay, thank you for that. I know I'm going to use one banana in this recipe because I made one previous, and if we make a lot of it, it may just go to waste. So another idea I want to let you know too, like these bananas are just now turning yellow. But if you have bananas that are turning a little browner, got the specks on them, and they're a little bit softer, those are going to be a lot sweeter. So if you want your dessert to be a little bit sweeter, you're going to want to use a ripe banana more so than just the one that's just turning from it being green. So I'm just going to slice. I'm going to go into the blender.
Now, when talking about the ripe banana, you can put a banana in the fridge and the outside gets really dark, but it actually keeps the inside better longer. So I've put a banana in the fridge before overnight and it's like already dark, and I thought that it had already ripened and gone bad, but the inside is still going to hold up better in the fridge. It just, the outside gets darker. Yeah,
the coldness, the condensation makes the skin turn dark. But if you're using one that's ripe, it's going to be sweeter. So even my bananas that are like going a little, they're really soft on the side, they look really bruised. That's what I love in my smoothies, because I like my smoothies to be a little bit sweeter naturally, not me adding anything to them.
Right, definitely an important part. When looking at this recipe, you see that there is 16 grams of sugar per serving. But that's natural sugar. That's from your fruit. And there's going to be a little bit of sugar from that Greek yogurt, but that is something to be mindful of, because I do talk about the sugar content of things, but recognizing that if it's from a natural source, then that's better.
Very good. So we got our banana in, and I didn't freeze it or anything. I'm just going to go, because this is going to be a dish that we're going to freeze anyway afterwards. And we have our yogurt here, and it's 8 ounces of yogurt. That's what it calls for. 1 cup is 8 ounces. And it's a Greek yogurt. And then you can determine like the yogurt that you get, if you want to get it sweetened already or low sweetener, that's up to you. However you're doing your sugars, you can kind of determine up to that of how you want to, if you want to get the regular or if you want to get the light. Either way it goes, it's still going to be delicious. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that down in there.
And we've talked before that Greek yogurt is a nice option because it has the extra protein.
Yes.
Because I was also looking at the recipe, Emily, and it says 12 grams of protein.
Yes.
So some of that's coming from that Greek yogurt. Would some of that also come from the peanut butter?
Yes, definitely. I was definitely going to talk about that. Yeah, so this recipe altogether is just, it's going to be easy to make, and you can make it honestly year round, because bananas you can get year round. Right now we're getting like watermelon right now, and it's harder to find watermelon like in the winter or something like that, but bananas you can always get. So this could be something that you can make any time of year, for a cookout or for a party in the winter, or just to have on hand for a snack, something sweet. And you are going to have a nutritious snack in this with some extra protein, which is always what we want. When we make a snack, we want that healthy balance of carb and protein together, and we're definitely getting that with this.
Nice. So, like I said, it's got the 3 ingredients. This calls for, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's right by the regular peanut butter aisle. It's just a powdered peanut butter. This is really good. This is like one of the best things ever. I mean, I like to take this powdered peanut butter, and then when I make peanut butter cookies, instead of adding the sugar to it, I like to sprinkle this right on top of my peanut butter cookies, or even like my oatmeal raisin cookies, or even my chocolate chip cookie. Just put some in a sprinkler, sprinkle it on top, and then give a little bit of extra things that are adding a little bit of extra sugar. You all know that, for those of you who know me, I'm always one to give you those extra little tips. So if there's something that I'm saying and you missed it, just reach back and say, what did you say about that? But the peanut butter this is the dried peanut butter, and we're going to go ahead and put it in. Now, what happens if you want to make this dish and you don't have dried peanut butter and you don't want to go out and buy dried peanut butter? If you have regular peanut butter, you can still use regular peanut butter. This is still going to be really smooth, especially if you're going to put it in a dish and let it get good and cold. So I like for you to be able to use what you have. So I am adding a half a cup. And as you can see, it's kind of clunky. So I'm just going to go through. It looks like brown sugar is what it looks like.
So yeah, that peanut butter is adding an aspect of that healthy fat that we need in our diets. That's going to be good for hormone regulation in our bodies. And so that's really what that's adding, and a little bit of protein as well. So
very good. All right, so we got our peanut butter powder. We're going to add it. We have our banana, we have our yogurt. Now, when I pre-did this, it gets really, really thick. So I have a little bit of water here, just in my cup. And as it blends, if it needs the water, I'll go ahead and just add it like just by the tablespoon. I don't want it to be milky. I just want to add it where it'll be able to blend well together. Now, what happens if you don't have a blender? Well, we got those things right there, those big old muscles right there. You're gonna take yourself, you're gonna put it in a bowl. You're gonna take your potato masher, mash it all together, mash it till it's good and smooth. Then you wanna get in there and stir, stir, stir. And the more you stir, the more exercise you're getting while you're making a delicious dessert. And then you're gonna pour it into the bowl. If you do not have a blender, you can use a mixer, but you would have to mash up your bananas first, okay? We're gonna always have an alternate. All right, so okay, let that start blending.
So while you're blending that, oh, go ahead.
The last recipe I added 2 bananas. This one I added 1, so now you can see not. It looks like a milkshake to me. If we added some ice, we may be onto something. So after we have it, I'm see if you guys can see. Can you see the consistency is just like a milkshake would be. Not like a malt shake, but more of a milkshake. So this you can then pour into, like I said, your containers, be that if they're ice cubes, ice cube tray, or if you have a popsicle tray, you can do that. Today, we're just gonna put them into small cups. All right, and it's just nice to pour. I'm gonna fill it halfway. It smells so good. This is what I wish we had, smell-o-vision.
Now, if you consume 1 banana in a day, let's say that you choose that as one of your fruits, you can get 10% of your daily fiber for your day. So it is high in fiber, which is great. Fruits and vegetables are going to be a great source of that fiber, which is good for your digestive tract. So, incorporating a banana that has all these nutrients and things to add to enhance your diet and making that your dessert, because it is naturally sweet, that's just benefits all around. So definitely love that. And it's going to be one of the many nutrients that bananas do have is potassium. A lot of times people will say for muscle cramps, eat a banana. So it does have potassium. I do want to note though, if you are on a beta blocker, I don't know if anybody would be on one of those, something just to be mindful of. You definitely want to ask your doctor about your potassium consumption, and you don't want to increase it or decrease it. So just kind of being consistent with what you're already doing. If you are on a beta blocker, I just want to mention that because a beta blocker increases the potassium levels in the blood. So disregard that if you're not, but I just wanted to point that out. I felt like I, wasn't doing my job if I didn't mention that.
So out of that one banana, that one 8-ounce of yogurt and the half a cup of peanut butter, we got 4 nice half cup servings. Now, something you could do once it freezes, you could add in walnuts or almonds or coconut. You can add in oats on top. You can add in fresh berries on top to go ahead and give you that the extra fiber, the extra nutrients. You can take a little bit of the chocolate syrup and just drizzle it on top. That would be really delicious. So maybe the miniature chocolate chips, this one, just a few on top. But this is something you can make ahead of time. You're gonna put it in your freezer for about 3 hours. And then you have 4 bowls of deliciousness that try not to eat all 4 bowls in one day. But if you do, just remember we did it very healthy, so you'll be okay. All right, so anyone have any questions about that recipe or any suggestions for that recipe? Don't all speak at once.
I love the idea of adding the chocolate, either the mini chocolate morsels or the chocolate syrup on top, because there's nothing better than peanut butter, banana, chocolate combination, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then also by adding those things that you're gonna crunch, it's gonna make you eat it slower and enjoy it more. So even maybe some crushed up peanuts to put on top of there. And if you want to even for kids, I mean, maybe a few crushed up M&Ms on there, just a nice little sprinkle. But you want to make the recipe your own, and then people will think you too are like Martha Stewart, right? Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, so today we're going to be using an air fryer. And air fryers are all the rage. And it's so funny because, you thought it was going to be one of those really quick kitchen appliances that you had to have, and then you were going to be done with the air fryer. Well, the air fryer is here to stay, people. It's here to stay. It's really, they're pretty inexpensive. You can get them for from $39 on up to $139, depending on what it is that you're going to use it for. But you can use it in so many different ways that I am an air fryer guru. I must say myself, I'm an air fryer guru. I can do just about everything in an air fryer. I have really just taken this small oven and turned it into something I use all the time, especially since I'm at home by myself. I don't have to turn on a whole oven to broil some chicken or anything like that. Now, one thing I do want you to know about air fryer is that if this is something that you don't have, your toaster oven is going to do the same thing. It's just going to take a little bit more time. But your toaster oven is just like an air fryer. Or if you have a convection oven on your microwave, you may want to just Google how to make it in your convection oven. Do not go out and spend $139 for something you're going to use every once in a while. But if you see one for $20, the smaller ones, and you just want to, just test it, try it that way before you go out and spend a lot of money on one. But that's how I started out. I got a very small one that probably would do about 3 to 4 servings. And then after I really liked it, I went ahead and got me a larger one because I realized I use it a lot. So with the air fryer, it does, cook things a lot quicker. You have to be mindful to make sure that you have enough moisture on your items, but you also can wrap things up in your foil and do your air fryer that way. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do today. In the recipe, when we're talking about, I'm going to jump around a little bit, so just follow me. So in our recipe today, when we're talking about our cold slaw, our broccoli slaw, which I love a hearty broccoli slaw, I really do. It calls for us to use some nuts, some seeds. So we're going to use some pumpkin seeds, and we're gonna use some sunflower seeds. And it calls for us to take the seeds and we're gonna toast them. It calls for you to toast the seeds in a pan, in a skillet. Well, I like to be kind of like a one pot done type of girl. So what I'm going to do, I've gotten some foil, and we got this awesome air fryer. And I'm going to put the seeds onto the foil. Now, if you're someone that says, I really don't like seeds, you can use walnuts, you can use almonds, you can use pecans. I'm gonna add in my seeds here. All right. I'm gonna mix them together. If you have kids, this is something great for them to do. Put it in a bowl, tell them they're gonna mix them all together. Then I'm just gonna make a bowl.
When looking at the nutrition information for the broccoli slaw, you can see that it is a higher fat meal or snack or side, but it's the fats is coming from the seeds and the olive oil, which are both great types of fat, heart healthy fats. So again, just being mindful of when you are like reading labels, looking at nutrition information, those numbers aren't, you know, the end all be all. You have to think about the sources of where those are coming from. Although it says 12 grams of fat, think about what kinds of fat you're putting in your body. It's actually beneficial to use fat sources such as olive oil, canola oil, or different types of seeds.
So if you have a small aluminum foil skillet or a small skillet that can fit into your air fryer, this will work just fine. But if not, I double the foil. I just made a little bitty pan myself out of the foil. I do this all the time, so I like to not clean a lot. So I try to make sure that I'm gonna do drizzle just a little bit, just a little. And then I'm gonna toss it. Cover them all up. Just toss them in a little bowl. Like I said, you can do that with your fingers. Cover them. And at this point, even if you wanted to season these with a little cayenne, a little garlic, a little paprika, you can season these. I'm gonna put these in our air fryer for about 5 minutes. I'm not gonna use the skillet. So please don't tell Chef Jason on me, please. So this one has trays. Mine has a basket, so I'm good for making little things like my own little tray to put down in the bottom of there. So I'll put this right in here on this tray. Slide it right on in there. This one's really cute. It's like a little oven, and I'm just I have a thing for all right, let's go. For gadgets in the kitchen. Like a real thing. I'm like, I need this one. And I'm like, I really don't. So I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna let them go ahead and air, let the air fryer, like usually when it's on 400 in here for 5 minutes, it's like it's on 400 in the oven for 10 minutes. So just kind of double the time because the air is really rotating it. And then we should start smelling it pretty soon. Well, I'll start smelling it pretty soon. And then I can shake it around and then let it go another 5 minutes if need be, all right? But in the meantime, let's get started on our dish, all right? So we have cod. You can see what I've gotten here. I should tell you exactly what I did. I am one to rinse my fish. I like to rinse it in just some cool water. This was the package, just the Atlantic cod. They were individually sealed. So you can just take out what you're gonna use, especially if you're, like I said, it's only you, you're only gonna eat 3 to 4 pieces, and you can take 2 of these out and other ones in your freezer for another time. All right, so that's just basic cod. Can you use tilapia or catfish or anything like that to go into any fish will work for you to fix in the air fryer, but we're focusing on making like a healthy fish stick today. So That's what we have there, our cod. And when I rinsed it, I put down a paper towel. And so it would be absorbing the moisture from the fish as it was defrosting, as I've rinsed it, all those waters. And then I have another paper towel here, another doubled over paper towel that I want my cod to be pretty dry, so I'm just gonna squeeze it. This is a throwaway container, so I told you about my cleaning up, right? So I'm just gonna get the moisture out of these. Real simple.
So Emily, is cod a good source of omega-3 like other fish are?
Yes, definitely. I was gonna go over that. Cod is going to be a really great protein option for this, for particularly being like a dinner option. That's typically what it would be used for. It would be the same as using like salmon, tuna, sardines. It's going to be a great source of omega-3s, which why do you want omega-3s? What's the hype around that? Is because those are good for heart health. It does good things for reducing inflammation, lowering triglycerides, helping lower blood pressure, and decreasing your risk of cancer, coronary diseases. And so there's just so many different benefits. If you eat fish once or twice a week, then that's going to have extreme benefits for you health-wise. Cod is a great option because of the mercury content. You don't really have to worry about that. There are some fish sources where you have to be careful about where you're getting them, and be more mindful of that. But cod is, you can kind of rest easy knowing that you don't really have to worry about that. And yeah, so definitely a great protein option and a good source of omega-3. So great thinking.
I'm just lightly squeezing the moisture out of these. I know you all are thinking like, I know she didn't have that fish sitting out there. Mom. The fish was really frozen, and that's why I went ahead when I rinsed it was still frozen. And then I'll show you how wet the paper towels are. So cod is a light white fish, and it's very meaty, but it also holds a lot of moisture. So we're going to just dampen it because we're going to cook this today.
So that being as meaty is probably an excellent choice to use for making sticks.
Absolutely, because you can see this is how nice that is. It's really meaty. Got a nice weight to it. Typically, if you were going to use like a tilapia or a catfish, you really would have to use the center cut to get them to stick and meaty. So as you can see, all the moisture that I've soaked out of there. I don't want it to be soggy. I want it to be nice and crisp. All right, and then like I came and said before, I'm using a throwaway container. So if you were going to reuse any type of container, especially if you're using plastic, you just want to make sure you clean it very, very well so that when you go to put it away, that it won't have any bacteria or anything like that. So our fish is ready for us to get busy on it. So let me go back to my recipe. And these are the panko Japanese style breadcrumbs. But guess what? If you have crackers at home, you can crumble up some crackers. Just don't add any extra salt. If you have cornflakes at home, you can crumble up the cornflakes, just like making it into just little crumbs. If you have bread at home, you can literally toast the bread until it's dehydrated, take it out, crumble it up. I don't want you to feel like you have to go out and buy something special to make this healthy recipe. There's other options. So you can definitely do that. And then if you just have regular old cornmeal, if that's something that you prefer, you can still do this in cornmeal and season it as well and go forth. So those are some other options that you can use. I use pretzels. I've done that before where I've crumbled up the pretzels. I just don't add any extra salt. I usually get lightly salted pretzels anyway, but I don't add any extra salt if I'm going to use pretzels or crackers, okay? So don't add any extra salt, all right? Because it already has it on there. So then it'll be way too salty. All right. So for we're going to set our slaw to the side because we have hey, that's our 5 minutes, and I think they are ready. I'll let them sit there and cool down. Oh, they're ready. Oh, yeah, they're perfect. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and get our fish sticks ready. It calls for cooking spray or olive oil, our cod fillets, our 3 egg whites, Dijon mustard, a tablespoon, a half a lemon squeeze, 1/8 teaspoon of paprika, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. If you were going to use the other options I gave you, you would omit the salt. Don't add any salt. So let's go ahead and we're going to add all of that to our we're going to add all of that to our fish and for our coating. So when we go down to our coating, we got our plain yogurt, our Old Bay seasoning, we're going to use our dry paste parsley. I have that here. If you have fresh parsley, you can use that as well. And then we're going to use, again, our paprika. So what we're going to combine our egg whites, our mustard, our lemon juice, our paprika, our salt, our pepper in a medium bowl. So I have a medium bowl here. So we're going to add those items. All right. So.
One thing I want to point out about this recipe, and something to be mindful of and that you can do with any recipe, is if you read down the list, it says low fat, plain Greek yogurt, light mayonnaise. So things like that, you can always swap out for a lighter version or a low fat version, and just making things a little bit less calorie dense or sodium dense or fat dense. There's always ways to just kind of pay attention to those labels, and if there's a different option, trying to swap that out.
All righty. We're going along. We'll cook it with gas. We'll put a little bit of pepper in there. Does anyone have any questions for us?
Where do I get these recipes? Is there a place to print them off from?
Yes, they are on our website. When you go to cancersupportohio.org, on the landing page, you'll see a tab that says programs and services. When you hover over that tab, halfway down the drop-down list is going to be Cooking for Wellness recipes. And we actually have all of our recipes archived all the way back from 2017. So we have a really nice selection, but yes, Doris, they've been uploaded to our website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so now that I have all the action for the coating, I'm going to use my fork. I'm gonna whisk it all together. Get it all in there blended. If you have a whisk, I do have one here. You can whisk it or you can just use a fork.
My whole life growing up, we didn't have a whisk in the house. It was always a fork.
It's always.
And then I went to college and one of my roommates brought a whisk. I'm like, I don't even know what this is.
Right. Exactly. It's like asking our kids now, my grandkids, like, what is this? And it's a can opener, and they don't have a clue. I said, you surely would die in the desert with a whole cooler full of food, not knowing that it's a can opener. So we got it all. Can you see that? It's nice and really not a really nice color. That lets you know our fish sticks are going to have a really nice color to them. So that is going to be our, I'm gonna say like this is our batter that we're using to make it. And then they're gonna, in our panko press, we're gonna add our dry parsley, a little bit more paprika, and a little bit more Old Bay. So we got our parsley.
So when it's asked for the 2 teaspoons of dried parsley flakes, if you were substituting it out for fresh, would it be the same 2 teaspoons?
It would be the same 2 teaspoons. Okay. Yeah, you want to just, this is like our fresh parsley that we'll use in the next recipe, but you would take the leaves off and I'll chop them up in a little bit. You would just chop them really, really fine. And you would pretty much use the same Same recipe. Let me grab another spoon. All right, so I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons. 1. That's soup.
So I have another question.
Mhm.
If I didn't have Old Bay seasoning in my cabinet and I really didn't want to go out and purchase something that I probably use just once, what are some alternatives for that particular seasoning if there's any?
You can use just your regular seasoning salt, a little bit of garlic. If you need to make your own seasoning salt, you can use Mrs. Dash. If that's something you would like, if you're really going totally sodium free. But if you have any type of seasoning salt, you can use any type of Mrs. Dash, you can just use salt, pepper, and garlic. That'll be just as good with a little bit more paprika. A little dried mustard would be delicious in this. Any type of fresh herbs or any type of dry herbs that you kind of steer towards, you can use those items to make your own. This is a framework for you to make it for something that you would like to enjoy. So me, he didn't call for garlic in the recipe, but I love garlic on my fish. So please don't tell Cynthia.
We won't tell Chef
Don't tell.
Jason.
So I'm gonna add just a teaspoon of garlic.
I have any excuse to add garlic to something. I love garlic.
See, I love it. I love it on all of my meats. And I met someone that was allergic to garlic, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
So sorry, because I love garlic. And then a little bit more paprika.
Well, and isn't garlic a great, like a virus fighter?
What was it called? Something
I
spicy.
can't remember the name of it, but doesn't garlic help? Like if you have a cold or a virus, doesn't garlic help that?
Oh, I have heard that. Yes, it can like boost immune system. Yeah.
That's what I couldn't think of, the immune system.
Yes.
So got all of our colors blended in here.
I've also heard that you could use oats as a
You can,
as like breadcrumb type. Yeah.
absolutely.
In a meatloaf one time, I didn't have breadcrumbs or that they wanted me to put in, so I used oats.
I use oats because it keeps the meatloaf moist. It doesn't dry it out, keep it nice and moist when you reheat it. All right, so now for the I'm gonna pull these my seeds out. As you see, they're nice and brown. Ooh, those are nice. Nice and toasted. It smells so good. Smells like almost like a popcorn from the theater. All right, I'm gonna set these to the side because that's gonna go into our salad. And then I'm gonna pull out our little tray. I got parchment paper. Yes, people, I'm using the parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, foil will work out just fine. So what we're going to do, we're gonna take our fish. Turn it around. And then we're going to douse our fish into our batter, then the douse fish into our crumbs. Then we're gonna put it on our parchment paper. But before I do that, I'm gonna cover the parchment paper with a little bit of oil because it will stick. So I'm gonna put a dollop here. Then I'm gonna smear it, but I got 2 of them, so smear it on this one. Pull out the other one. Smear it on this one as well. If you have cooking spray, that's fine. If you have olive oil in a sprayer, that's fine. Or you can do it like I just did. That's fine too. Get them all around. All right. So we have 2 trays. I'm probably use both. I know I'm gonna use both of those trays. I want to make sure there's some space between the fish. so that it's not, it can get nice and crispy. So starting for first two, let's put them in here and douse them around. All right, got a nice color to it. Nice. Then put it in your breadcrumbs. Hold it real good. Breadcrumbs. Roll it around. Then that's gonna lay them down. Guess what else you can use for this? You can use chicken. You can use pork loin, pork chop, do it the same way. Cut it into spears. How pretty that is.
It had a lot more color than I would have anticipated. Because usually when you think of breaded things, it's pretty much just bland.
That paprika is, I love a good paprika. I really do. I will, for my friends that are vegan, I will I did that wrong, I'm sorry, guys, right in my mouth. I will slice potatoes or sweet potatoes really, really thin and sprinkle it with paprika and put it in the oven to get them really nice and crispy, and use it just like, and when I'm making a BLT bar, and their potatoes will be real crispy like bacon, and they make their BLTs out of that.
Wow.
So I call it a PLT.
Doesn't Chef Jason love paprika as well? He's always raving about
I
that.
love paprika.
And he loves the smoked paprika.
Yes.
He's a smoked paprika fan.
All right. Second one. See, this doesn't take long at all. Now, if they wanted to use the whole egg, what would make the difference in this recipe?
Nutritionally,
Yes.
so there is some different, like slight differences in egg white and egg yolk. As far as consistency wise, I'm not going to speak on that, but as far as like cholesterol, that's going to be in the yolk. There's going to be a little bit higher protein in the yolk, lower calorie and lower fat if you just do the whites. So
Okay.
I always encourage in general to use the entire egg. I think it's a diet culture thing to be moving toward just using egg whites, because there are a ton of nutrients in the yolk that you do need. And I think
Okay.
people get a little bit scared of a higher calorie, and now that they know this thing that you can just use the white and all that, but I do want to push to use the whole egg if necessary, or if you can in a recipe. So yeah,
So if you were going to use the whole egg in this recipe, just use 2 eggs instead of 3 egg whites. Is what you could use.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think egg yolk's kind of bad rap back in the 80s,
Oh, yeah.
and people can't let it go.
Yeah, I think it's now just a diet culture thing. People are like, well, I'm just going to do the white, but you can do the whole egg and get all the nutrients. You want those nutrients for sure.
I think scaring everybody with the high cholesterol.
Yeah.
It's got a bad rap.
Yeah, they did get a bad rap, and it kind of just stuck with them, and they're like, what do we do? They're like, no, eat it, that's really good for you. And you're like, which is it?
Cholesterol,
Right.
it's in any animal product. So,
Okay.
eggs get this bad rep for it, but it's in animal products. So anything that
Okay.
comes from an animal is going to have cholesterol in it. So I don't think we should single out the egg, poor eggs.
I think that makes us egg activists or eggivists.
Honestly, yes.
I think the egg community be very proud of us right now. Like, quit giving the egg a bad rap.
And think about it for, you know, stores, you know, now they can sell you just egg whites and make money off of that. They're
That's so
like,
true.
we have a fix for it. We're going to charge you a ton of money and you just have egg whites now because that's a new thing. You know, it's also a promoting thing as well.
Absolutely. Chef Jason, he suggests to sprinkle this with, to spray it with your cooking spray or olive oil, but we did do the olive oil on the sheet. I'm kind of one that goes back and just turn it on the other side. So we'll see how that turns out. If it looks like we're gonna need a little bit of more oil on it, I'll add it, but I don't really think we're really gonna need it, so.
I would think that you might need it if you don't use a parchment paper.
Yes, I think that you absolutely. Let's put this. I'll take this one out. I don't need it. See, she's fancy. Mine has one bucket. Everything goes in, everything comes out. All right. So on this one, I'm going to put it on air fry.
Are you doing the same temperature or, oh, this
I'm
one?
gonna turn the temperature down to about 350.
That's right. That's what it says on here. Okay, got it.
So I want to custom it. 350, I'll put it on 15 minutes. That's fine. That's fine. And then we got it going. So I have it at 15 minutes on 350 and we'll check it. Because like I said, it'll cook really, really, really quick. And you want the fish just to be nice and light and not dry. We don't want dry fish. So as you all know, since we did the dredging, I'm gonna clean up my mess, but it's really easy to clean it up because I'm that kind of girl. Just pick up that paper towel and let's move on to the next thing. So I want to, we're gonna go ahead and get started on our coleslaw. I'm going to go ahead and switch out my, even though I didn't get any fish on here, I work with fish in this area and it was raw fish, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch out my cutting board.
Food safety, love it.
Do you have a towel under that to keep it from
Yeah,
slipping?
and I have a towel up under my cutting board to keep it from slipping, especially if you have granite. Granite's that beautiful, but it also slip and I don't want to have any slips. We're gonna go ahead and move on for our salad. I have a bowl here. And let me grab my little recipe card so I know I don't forget anything. So he has it on here, 370 for 7 to 8 minutes. I have it on 350. We'll probably do it for about 8 to 10 minutes. All right, now we're gonna go with the Hearty broccoli slaw. The thing that we starting out with him that he suggests is that you can already get the broccoli slaw pre chopped up and everything, but you know what you also can do? Just use the head of broccoli and chop it up real fine. Just use the head of broccoli or one bundle of your broccoli and chop it up really fine if you don't want to go out and get this specifically. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, you definitely pay for convenience when you do stuff like that, but so it's something to be mindful of. If it saves a little bit of money to do it yourself the longer way, then yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great way to point that out. You're paying a little bit more for convenience.
absolutely. And also being that it's summer here in Ohio, the farmers will be having their broccoli, and Ohio broccoli, it doesn't look like broccoli that comes from generally the grocery store, but it is delicious and it's nutrient rich. And you also have, it's coming right from a local farmer. So me working for Local Matters on our veggie van, we really do support local farmers. And when we get that broccoli, it goes really fast because it's delicious. So if you can get some local Ohio broccoli this year, I encourage you to try it. I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna see that there's a difference too. The one is a little bit more tender than the other.
Hey, you said it is-
Grown.
You did mention it was real rich in nutrient. I want to point out that the fruits and vegetables that have that really brighter, deep color, so like a broccoli or that has that deep green, and then we're using cabbage, it has like a deep color, those are going to be really rich in nutrients. So definitely being mindful of that. So like leafy vegetables, kale, that's like a deep green, that's going to be richer in nutrients. And so this broccoli, it's really going to be packed. So I like that you said it was rich in nutrient for sure.
Absolutely. And then we got the broccoli slaw in there. This calls for 2 cups of finely sliced purple cabbage, a bag of broccoli slaw, which we have in there, 2 cups of Napa cabbage, a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley chopped, and then we're going to use our seeds that we've already roasted in here as well. So that's what we're going to do, and then we'll get onto the dressing next. So we got 2 dressings to make tonight. And I tell you, that's one of my favorite things to make is a good dressing or a good sauce. Wow, you could change the world with a good sauce, if you ask me. I've already cut my cabbage in half and cored it. Some people like to use the core and then chop it up really, really fine or put it in their food processor because it's got a peppery taste. It's got a real spicy taste to it. And some people like to use that to give it a little bite, but I took it out today.
When I was a child, when making slaw, the kids, my siblings and I would fight over the core because we'd just eat it raw like that. And
We would
it
too.
had a little extra crunch.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I'm a fan of the core.
I am too. We used to do the same thing. We would sprinkle some salt on it and just eat the core. So as you know, I took my cabbage and I'm gonna always cut it on a flat base. You know, cut it in half. Then I'm quartering it so that way I can make it nice and small. If you like for it to be really small, it's okay for you to grate it and add it to this. But we're just gonna slice it today. So I'm just gonna make some thin slices.
Is cabbage high in fiber?
What was that question?
Is cabbage high in fiber?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely going to be a higher fiber. That's one of the nutrients that's going to be very present in that. And with cabbage specifically, I always like to try and give you guys ideas of like, we're using a vegetable and we're using it in this dish, but how can we also use it in a bunch of other ways? So if you buy that cabbage, you're not ending up using the whole thing. You can add it to salad, soup, stews. You can make sauerkraut with it. So there's just other ways to incorporate. If you would typically make a soup, how can you add more nutrients to what you're already making? And if we start thinking like that, then we can add nutrients into every meal and snack even more and more and get more creative with it.
Does this taste like green cabbage? The purple?
A little sweeter.
Okay.
And when you're cooking it or sauteing it, it gives a really beautiful color, but it does have a little bit more sweetness than the green cabbage. So I've diced it up. You can make it smaller if you like. I'm gonna put it right down in there. Got those colors. We're eating the rainbow today. All right. So I used the 1/4 of a cabbage, and that gave me my 2 cups. So that goes to show you how inexpensive this. Look how much we got, and we only got 2 items, and then we got a bag of broccoli, slaw, and then we got a 1/4 of a cabbage in there. So that goes to show you. Now we're gonna go ahead and chop up some of this parsley. We talked about it a little bit earlier. It's already, everything over here has been rinsed. Looking so good. Looking so good. Pull it out and see what you get. You guys see?
Oh, yeah, it's already
The nice one. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit, put it in for 2 more minutes.
Oh, it smells delicious.
I was talking to a friend of mine and I was grabbing literally a pan out of the oven and she was like, don't do that, you're gonna burn yourself. And I said, after you've worked in the kitchen so long, they actually done a study on it, that it's not even hot anymore. So this one is on the lower one, so I'm gonna swap them out. Let's put this one on the lower one.
As you said, different air fryers have different designs. So if your personal one, you said has a bucket. would you still flip them?
I would still flip it.
Okay.
Yep. I would still flip it, sure would.
But you wouldn't obviously have to rotate anything because it's one.
Yes, yes. So I would just roll it. I do the same thing if I'm doing like chicken wings in the air fryer. I usually do them, where they're roasted where I'm not frying it. And so I may spray a little bit of the olive oil on top. If I'm using a sauce, I don't even worry about the olive oil. So I'm just gonna roll this fresh parsley up. One thing about the summer, everything smells so good.
No, that's Monique, are the stems still in there?
The stems are still in here. I just chop them really thin.
Okay.
Yeah, I find that if I'm making a fresh salad with it, I don't mind the stems. But if you cook with the stems and you don't chop them real small, they can become very stringy. So, but in a salad, I'm just gonna dice them right on up.
I appreciate that because I use fresh personally a lot. And I want to make sure I do. Strip the stems, so it's nice to know that you can just finely chop it.
Just finely chop them. Oh, this aroma is amazing.
Well, this isn't a knife skill demonstration per se, but I'm loving watching Miss Monique use her knife skills there. Having that
thank
hand
you.
on top and
Yeah, just taking my time and having control of that knife is the key. Keeping my eyes, keep my fingers out the way. So now adding in our parsley. All right, now we're going for our Napa cabbage. Now, the nice thing about Napa cabbage is, one is just pretty, but it's really durable. It's a durable green. But what's nice about this is that you can break off your Napa cabbage. I've rinsed it, but Napa cabbage can be a little bit tricky, just like leeks. So you always want to check down here in this little groove here for some extra dirt. And if you got some in there, just wipe it out. Wipe it out. These are pretty clean though. So with the Napa cabbage, I just cut off the base part. But what's nice about this and what's really durable about the Napa cabbage is that these make really good alternatives if you're not doing a lot of bread. They're really durable, so you can really put your chicken salad in there. You can put your turkey, your lettuce, your tomatoes, and it's not gonna fall apart like the romaine lettuce. And I see us trying to, there's no cute way to eat romaine lettuce, lettuce wrap. There's no way, because it's just so flimsy. But the Napa, you can put your whole taco stuff in here and literally crunch it, and it's gonna hold its shape. So, little FYI, don't skim on the Napa cabbage, because they're great for both, and they're great for just making things look really beautiful. So if you are trying to show off to your family, remember those PLTs I talked about? You can put that right in here with your onions, if you got a little cheese, if that's your thing, your potatoes, your tomatoes, you can dice it all up, and then they can eat it just like a BLT or PLT if you're not having the bacon.
Cabbage, is there a particular flavor that it gives?
It has a lot of water base to it. These cores, it's kind of like a celery.
Okay.
It kind of reminds you of biting into celery is what the core is going to remind you of. And it has a lot of water in that core, but it kind of is just like it reminds you of between green cabbage and romaine lettuce. That's what it will remind you of. It's not very bitter, so that you can just literally, arugula can be a bitter sometimes. You kind of want to put a sweeter dressing on your arugula sometimes, but it's not that bitter.
Or massage your kale.
Or massage your kale, so that it's not as bitter. I'm doing the same thing again. I'm just dicing it real nice and thin. This is that crunch. But it's not nearly as bitter as kale is when you eat kale raw. That to it. I don't want to leave anybody left out. No good cabbage left behind. All right, so now we have all of our greens in there. Let's go ahead and toss it. Get all these colors going. All right. Isn't that pretty already? Care if any big pieces so people can get a bite without the rest going down their face. All right, so we have our greenery all in there. You have to watch these little, they come out so nice. Okay, so this is the one I didn't turn. This is the one I switched the top from. And you can see it's holding the crunch on the coating on it, nice and crunchy. I'll put it back in there for 2 more minutes. Then we're gonna cut one in half to make sure that they're good and done. I can tell they're done, but we'll do it for, let it go ahead for about another minute. Everything is good. All right, so we're gonna go on to our dressing for our broccoli slaw, our hearty broccoli slaw. So it calls for a 1/4 cup of olive oil, ice squeeze. It says 2 to 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. I would just say half a lemon would do you just fine. 1 garlic clove. I already have it mixed up. All right. And it calls for some ground cumin. So we got our cumin here. And then a little bit of salt. And then, like I said, you can decide on if you want to add the salt or not. Sometimes when you want your cabbage to cook down to be softer, you can just squeeze the lemon juice and the salt on it and toss it and let it sit, and it'll break it down. The acid and the salt will break it down to be a lot more tender. So that's something that you can do ahead of time if you want your slaw to be a little bit more tender than what we're going to make today. All right. So I'm going to add in I got our garlic here. Let's see that. I'm going to add in our olive oil and our lemon juice. So I'm going to get a half a lemon. Got it already sliced up in here. I was teaching a class with kids one day, and I was telling them how all fruits have seeds. So the fruit I decided to slice open to show them that all fruit has seeds was a lemon, and there wasn't a seed nowhere. They were like, so is it not a fruit? I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. So I get excited when I see a lemon seed because they embarrassed me in front of some kindergartners one day. They didn't know what to do. I was like, no, this really should be in here. All right, so I got my lemon juice and my garlic there. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my olive oil. They're asking for 1/4 cup. I told you guys because I'm doing this for you because I'm an eyeballer. I'm gonna put in a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now, would it be okay if they were to use avocado oil or a different type of oil?
Yeah, definitely. All great, healthy fats.
All right, so we got our oil, we got our lemon juice, we have our garlic. Now we're going to add in our 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Let's see where'd you go right here. Cumin is a really dark, rich, very dark, very rich type of flavoring. And we don't use it enough, I don't think. I think that, it's something that we can use a lot more of. I like to put it on my baked chicken. I like to put it on when I'm just broiling fish. I like to use cumin because it's got a really nice dark flavor to it. And then it calls for a little bit of salt. We're just gonna put salt in to taste. Gonna mix it all up. So we got all of our lemon dressing. If you wanted to use roasted garlic in this, that'll be fine. You could have put the garlic right on in with, actually, when you roast some garlic, you could just take the whole garlic and you could have put it right in with the seeds and roasted it that way. You don't have to worry about peeling it. Sometimes people may rub a little olive oil on the outside of it. You can or not, but you could just put it right in with the seeds and roast it for a couple of minutes right in the air fryer.
I really like this version of the dressing because of sometimes the broccoli slaw has like a mayonnaise base. And that just feels really extra heavy especially on a really warm day when you want a light salad.
Well, I can also tell you another variation of this, since we're going to be using it in our other recipes, like we use the Greek yogurt. If it's something that you just really, I love creamy coleslaw. I really do. But you know what I use? I use just the Greek yogurt.
Oh.
So instead of like if I was going to make this, I would make this recipe and then maybe add in a couple tablespoons of the Greek yogurt to give me that creaminess that I'm looking forward to. And instead of using the mayonnaise, would you like to speak about that a little bit? Or using the Greek yogurt instead of the mayonnaise in the recipe?
I'm not too familiar with that, but that does, it sounds like that would be, I know you can swap out like in recipes like sour cream for Greek yogurt. So I'm guessing you can do the same thing. I haven't done it myself. So I guess I would just have to go off of someone's experience.
Yeah, with the Greek yogurt, I'll add a little bit, like I use the lemon, pretty much the same recipe. But because I am that girl that likes that and I want to stay away from mayonnaise all the time, I will use a little bit of Greek yogurt, just plain Greek yogurt.
Miss Lynn, I apologize. Did you say 2 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons?
2 tablespoons, really it'd just be like, the ones that you would get to eat, the little small 4 ounces, just one of those to go in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another alternate you can have if you like. I really like creamy coleslaw. And we're gonna add in our seeds now. Look how pretty that is. Remember our seeds had a little olive oil on it as well. So that's gonna be able to help coat. So here we go. Not looking shabby, huh? We look like we know what we're doing. Then we're gonna toss it all together. Now, for me, I love craisins in my broccoli slaw. I love craisins in my broccoli slaw. So that's something you can add. You can add dried cherries to the broccoli slaw. You can add, like I said, any other type of nut that you would like. You can add that to it. And the one thing that's nice about the slaw, making the coleslaw, is that the longer it sits, the better it gets. So you could coat this. You can make this the day before your picnic or what have you. Put it in the refrigerator, make it still tight, and go from there.
Yeah, all the dressing will just like soak in and like enhance the dish after a while. Yeah, that's true.
And it also, the moisture from the cabbage and the dressing and the broccoli are gonna make the seeds softer. So then the seeds become more blended in as well. All right, we got our slaw. We are cooking with gas.
That's really pretty.
It's pretty. So we'll go ahead and get this all mixed. And it didn't like it was a lot of dressing, but when you look at it, you can see the glistening of the dressing all over it, right? That lemon will break down, lemon and salt will break down this cabbage. I'll take that already so that it looks nice and while it's getting ready. Anyone have any questions?
No, can't think of any.
Can't think of any? Okay.
Looks good.
Do you like cabbage?
Yes,
I do too.
I especially like cooked cabbage.
I do too.
after you take this to like a cookout or whatever, it can stay in the refrigerator for about 5 days. So you can eat leftovers for about 5 days.
Oh, that's good.
All right. So we got 1, we got 2. Let's see what 3's doing. We got to make a sauce for it. So we got that. That's looking nice, right? I think that we could definitely. Make that look really nice. All right, so that's our slaw. We have it done. We can put it in the refrigerator. This is something that would travel really, really well, even in your cooler. All right, so the next thing we're gonna go on to make is going to be, we're done for broccoli slaw, we're done with our dessert. And now we're gonna go ahead and make the dressing for our fish. And it's a lemon caper sauce. So before we do that, go away from my trash here. I want us to check the fish, right? So I'm gonna pull it out. And you can see I on the one, I did some of the breadcrumbs there. Because some people like to munch on those. So that's always nice. So here's 1. Here's 2. Let's check it. That way, if we need to go back in, we can go back in.
So how do you know when fish is done? When you're checking this, what are you looking for, Miss Monique?
You can see that, remember how white it was? It actually turns a little tan, just a little bit. So you can see that it's flaky, it's not sticking together. There's no pinkness to it. You could always use your thermometer and measure it, but you can pretty much tell because it becomes really flaky. When I break it in half, you can see the flakiness of it. I hope you guys can see that. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
So it kind of like slivers, and fish is kind of like that thing that you will know because it still has small veins in it. You have the veins that will come apart, especially like in catfish and tilapia, like the little, but when it's nice and flaky like that, you know, you got a winner chicken dinner.
The internal temperature of fish being done and safe is 145, just to keep in your back pocket.
All right, so that's ready. And then we are going to get ready to make this sauce. I told you guys I'm kind of saucy, so excited about this sauce. So in the lemon caper sauce, we have a 1/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt. We have 3 tablespoons of light mayonnaise, and it got an olive oil based mayonnaise. A tablespoon of drained capers, a tablespoon of fresh mint chives, the same thing we have with it. We're going to use our parsley instead of our chives today. But if you didn't have chives, you can always use a small onion or a scallion as well. But we're going to use parsley because we're going to use what's fresh right now. If you have dill, you can use dill. If you have fresh dill, if you have fresh thyme, if you had sage, even if you had mint. So those are some options you can put into this sauce using your fresh herbs. And I think a lot of times people forget that fresh herbs are dark leafy green. So you're gonna get all those vitamins A, B, C, E, and K. So you wanna definitely, you know, tune into those dark leafy greens, even in the herbs. They're small, but they're powerful. And then we're gonna have in a little bit of fresh lemon juice. I just got another half over there to squeeze out. And our kosher salt, and that is to taste. A little black pepper. All right, so I'm gonna use our measuring cup here. So I'm gonna add in our 1/4 of Greek yogurt. 1/4 Greek yogurt. I use this plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream all the time when I'm doing a taco bar. And no one's ever known that they were not getting Greek yogurt. It cracks me. They don't realize they're not getting sour cream. I'll take a little bit of lemon juice and put them on top of it and add a little cumin to it, and they don't even know. How will they know? They won't know.
So when you open up the container of the Greek yogurt, and there's a little bit of that liquid on top, some people that I've heard of, some people that I know actually dump off that liquid and don't do that. You want to stir that in. That's the whey protein. So just it'll be liquidy, but stir it in and then use it. If that kind of grosses you out or whatever, definitely want to use it.
Yeah,
I agree.
isn't that like the whey or something?
Yeah, that's the whey protein.
All right. Fourth cup there. But it's not gonna hurt the recipe none. All right, so now we have our Greek yogurt. We're gonna add in our mayonnaise. And this calls for 3 tablespoons of light mayonnaise. I probably won't do 3 tablespoons. Probably just do the 3 teaspoons because we got that Greek yogurt. 2 and 3. That was a teaspoon, but I had them heaping, so I think that would count as a tablespoon. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our, this calls for capers. Now, people have a love-hate relationship with capers. They either really love them and love the bitiness of them, or they're like, just it's the same way like with some herbs, people can't, they just don't enjoy it. I find that you're okay with capers, but I don't like the bitiness of getting a whole caper in my mouth in any type of sauce. So what I do is I drain them. I'm gonna pour them out on my cutting board. And I'm gonna mush them, okay? So I'm just gonna put them down here and I'm just gonna mush them. Just gonna mush them. Almost until they're pasty. I'll chop them and I'll mush them. And then people don't really know that they're eating capers.
How would this taste with leaving them out?
It would taste fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if you didn't like the capers in it, it would be just fine. If you want a jalapeno, you could put a pickled jalapeno in there to give it the bite in it. You can add some dried mustard to it. The capers give it a nice little bite to it. You can use banana peppers, pickled banana peppers, and chop them up, put them in there, and then I just kind of paste it. Try to get it pasty. I think it hides it in the sauce a little bit better.
But if you don't want that bite at all, then we can just completely leave it out.
You can leave it totally out. Totally out. So that way I'm getting smaller pieces and not that whole round caper in my mouth. All right. All right, so we got the capers in there. We're gonna get our lemon juice. I got another half a lemon here. Get that seed out of there. All right. Still got a seed in there, no matter what. But that's good. I'm happy to see them. Everything doesn't need to be genetically modified, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's take the seeds out. I don't want anybody to crunch on that.
Yeah, I don't think my teeth would.
Mine either. If you have the lemon squeezer, that's fine, but if you don't, just pick it out. No big deal. All right, and then we're gonna add in our black pepper and our salt, and then that's gonna be it, except for us adding in our chives are gonna be the last thing.
I
So,
have heard, Miss Monique, that if you're trying to get juice out of a lemon or even a lime, that a good trick is to roll it on the countertop to loosen that up. Is that true?
yes, I had already rolled those prior to slicing them in half, but it's also, You can put it in the microwave for like 20 seconds.
Oh,
And it also softens it up as well, especially limes. Then we add a little bit of black pepper. Want a little spicy, you can add a little cayenne in there. All right. And then we're gonna chop up a little bit more. I'm using parsley. I could use dill, I could use sage, I could use thyme. I'm gonna use parsley today. It's what we started with, is what we're gonna end with. Once again, I'm using the stem. I'm just gonna chop them up really, really small. Rolling that parsley, keep your fingers out the way. And then just holding the top of your knife, going back and forth.
I apologize, Ann, that I just saw your question. So the question in the chat, are capers pickled or brined or other?
They're pickled. They're pickled.
Okay, thank you. And what are they? Some kind of a little berry? I've had them before, but I never really understood what they are.
I think they're more like a little seed, you know?
Oh,
I've never seen one raw, but I do know that they just pickle them with vinegar and water and salt, the same way we would do quick pickles. So,
I
oh,
heard that.
I
they
happen
were
to
a
like them.
flower
My mom
bud.
used to cook with them.
you heard,
I heard that capers were a flower bud, but I don't know
Oh.
what flower.
Oh, really?
someone
Yeah.
get their phone and Google that.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
It does say it's like a plant. So caper bush, also known as a rose, a Flender's rose. So yeah, kind of like a flower.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Got our, that looks really, it smells amazing. Right. Let's mix it together. Here we go. Capers in there, how pretty that's turning out to be.
The green from the capers and the green from the parsley, that really is a pretty color.
Mhm. You see how it's nice and thick. You see that? Really nice and thick.
What a healthier alternative to tartar sauce.
Yes, a healthier alternative to tartar sauce. But you could cut your tartar sauce with that Greek yogurt, I'm telling you. And you'll know that that's also a healthier alternative.
Now this sauce is just going for the fish to be dipped in.
Yep, this is
Yep.
just a dipping sauce.
Yep, okay.
Wow, that looks great. So pretty. So pretty. All righty, let's get ready to see what we can do with these, this fish now. Remember I was telling you how nice it is just to kind of set things out on the Napa cabbage. We're gonna do that right now. All right. Bringing that fish out. Just gonna set it right on out. Look at how nice that pudding is staying on there. It didn't fall all off. And yes. Right. Have that there. I'm gonna grab a plate. I'm gonna plate a plate. And I know this coating would definitely make it seem like it's a lot more than you're just getting that one piece. This is really just the one piece of fish that they already have that's already ounced out and everything. So then we have our Slaw. That looks good. Give us a nice little dollop of our dressing. And there we have it,
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Looks great.
all from an air fryer. Who knew, right?
Love it.
Okay, so that's what we have there. Set these things out of the way. All right, so I was looking for that a second ago when I was thinking about it. All right, so now we have our dessert. And remember I told you, you can put it in a bowl. I'm gonna show you the difference. He had these in just an ice cube. You can pop those right out of there. Or you can see the difference. You see how it's done got really nice, and I'm gonna get a spoon so I can show you what I mean. And just by setting it in the same little cup there. And I can show you the creaminess of it. It's just like an ice cream. You see that? Just like an ice cream.
So we can have a healthy version of a dessert.
So like I said, if you want to put fresh fruit on top of this, or a little cocoa powder, or a few nuts, or, you know, kind of turn it into like a little turtle, make it like a Snickers, put a little drizzle of caramel on it. You know, it's just being mindful that it doesn't have to be stacked up to here with caramel and nuts and all that, but a nice little drizzle with some pecans would be great. So
I've heard plenty of dietitians, and it might have even been Emily herself who said, everything's okay in moderation.
everything's okay in moderation.
Absolutely. I love that. I'd say that all the time.
So are there any questions for me? I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you really do try it. I think that you will be very pleased. As far as these fish sticks go, you can put them in a seal tight container, put them in your refrigerator, munch on them all week. This is even something you can even put back in your freezer and then pull it out, put it back in your air fryer and warm it up for another day. So these freeze really well.
Thank you for adding the air fryer, because my first question that came to mind was, how do you keep the coating still crisp and not all soggy? Because I think that if you microwave it, one, your house stinks because of microwaving fish.
Yeah.
But then the other one, that the coating would get soggy by putting it back in the air fryer.
Put it right back into the air fryer. If you wrap it up in foil, just open up the foil, set it right down into your air fryer and warm it up for the next
Or
3 to
toaster
4
oven.
minutes, and you should be okay.
Or your toaster oven.
Or your toaster oven, yeah, your toaster oven or your convection oven. It'll do the same thing, so. So I hope that you guys enjoyed us cooking together today. I enjoyed being here with you today, so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all, and I hope that we can keep cooking and cooking and cooking and making small changes. All small changes add up to big changes. I have to tell myself that every day. Sometimes, you know, when you're trying to make good choices, it's like, oh, I really want, I'm like, small choices add up to big choices, one day at a time.
That's excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, well, thank you so very much, Emily. Greatly appreciate you being able to join us and giving us our nutritional information.
Thank you, Emily.
A huge thank you to Miss Monique for stepping in
You're
for
so
Chef
welcome. It was
Jason, who
It
could
was
be
a
here.
pleasure.
If you do try these recipes, which are on the website, please let us know how they turned out, what you think of them. We're always looking for feedback on our recipes, and we'd love for you to share either on our Facebook page or sending either myself or Angie an email to say, hey, made those, loved them, or I think I need a little bit more, or I should have used smoked paprika in those recipes
Right.
instead of the regular paprika. So any feedback, we just love to hear that. But thank you for joining us tonight. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, and it looks delicious.
Thank you.